This story begins with a man who was a hunter. He was setting traps with his daughter to catch animals. These traps were a kind of snare to capture prey. He was also removing the animals caught in the old traps. Along with them, they had a dog. The man communicated with his wife Anne through a radio. She asked him to go to town and bring some essential supplies. There were 3 members in this family who lived far away in the forest. They survived by selling animal hides, which they caught in their traps. They would eat the meat and sell the skins, as it was their only source of income. Since they knew nothing other than hunting, Anne's husband was teaching their daughter the same trade. However, she was not yet skilled in it. As the father and daughter were checking the traps, they noticed that one of their catches was missing. The daughter immediately suspected that it was taken by someone she believed he was back. She was talking about a wolf, which indicated that such incidents had happened before. Meanwhile, Anne went to a store to sell the animal hides, but she was distressed because the prices had dropped. She wasn't getting enough money or food in return. The store owner told her that common animal hides wouldn't fetch much money, but if she brought a wolf's hide, she could earn more. Anne seemed upset as she looked at rental and job advertisements posted in the store. Her expression showed that she wanted a house in town and a stable job, but for some reason, she couldn't pursue that life. She didn't like hunting and wished to move to town, send her daughter to a good school, and live a better life. However, since they didn't have enough money, she had no choice but to return home. At home, Anne's husband was teaching their daughter how to skin an animal while Anne prepared food. During dinner, the atmosphere was tense because they didn't have enough food due to financial struggles. When their daughter mentioned that a wolf had taken their prey, Anne became furious at her husband for not telling her. She insisted that he must do something about the wolf. Otherwise, they would starve. After sending their daughter inside, Anne continued arguing with her husband. He believed the wolf had either eaten a girl or an animal, but Anne was convinced that the wolf was coming back because of their family. She thought the wolf knew there was easy prey available in the traps without much effort. She even wanted to report the matter to the police, but her husband refused, saying he would handle it himself the next morning. However, that wasn't the only concern. Anne showed her husband the rental and job advertisements, questioning how long they could survive like this. She suggested getting a job so they could earn money and live comfortably. But he refused, saying they knew nothing besides hunting. Anne tried to make him understand that their daughter should have a choice about her future, rather than being forced into the same lifestyle. She argued that their child should be worrying about her studies, not wolves and hunting. But no matter how much she tried to convince him, he was adamant. He declared that their family had always lived in the forest, and their future generations would do the same. The next morning, as the husband set out to hunt the wolf, his daughter insisted on going with him. Though Anne was against it, he eventually took their daughter along. Anne, worried, spoke to him over the radio. He assured her that once they spotted the wolf, he would send their daughter back, which happened soon after when he found the wolf's tracks. He sent his daughter home, instructing her not to panic. However, as she walked back through the forest, eerie sounds made her extremely frightened. Anne, too, felt as if someone was following her while she fetched water from the river. Both mother and daughter were scared. Anne managed to reach home safely, but her daughter got too frightened and stopped midway. Meanwhile, Anne's husband finally spotted the wolf and shot at it. However, it wasn't clear if the wolf was dead. The sound of the gunshot alarmed their daughter, who gathered her courage and kept moving. When Anne's husband went to check, he found that the wolf had escaped. But what he saw next shocked him. He found a severed human hand, belonging to a girl, which the wolf had been eating. As he explored further, he discovered a gruesome scene. Several mutilated female bodies arranged in a circular pattern. This was something a wolf couldn't have done, making him realize that there was a killer lurking in the forest along with the wolf. Now, his family was in even greater danger because not only was there a wolf, but a murderer as well. He returned home but kept quiet, not wanting to scare his family. He knew he had to do something to protect them. The next morning, when Anne woke up, her husband was missing. He had gone back to the place where he found the bodies. Anne believed he was searching for the wolf, as he had told her he might stay out all night. But in reality, he was looking for the killer. While Anne and her daughter were by the river, the daughter realized their dog was missing and went looking for it. Suddenly, the wolf appeared in front of her, advancing toward them. Anne screamed loudly, which scared the wolf away. They immediately rushed back home. However, their dog was still outside. Anne grabbed a gun and went to look for it, only to find the dog dead. It had been killed by the wolf. Heartbroken, she returned home and lied to her daughter, saying they would find the dog once her father returned. She didn't want her daughter to feel unsafe. At this point, the film's title, Hunter x Hunter, makes sense. This hunting family is caught between two hunters, the wolf and the killer, both of whom pose a threat to their lives. The next day, Anne's husband still hadn't returned or made contact. When Anne and her daughter went to check the traps, they found another missing animal. Anne also found a ring, which terrified her, because she suspected it belonged to the girl the wolf had eaten. She immediately went to the police station to report the wolf, hoping it could be captured. Meanwhile, the police chief and his team were transporting a dead body when they saw an abandoned car on the road. Though they noted it, they didn't investigate further and continued to the police station, where Anne was waiting. She explained everything, but the police refused to take action, saying they had no jurisdiction over the area. They also argued that wolves were animals and couldn't be blamed, they were simply following their instincts. Instead, they suggested that it was the family's fault for choosing to live in the forest. Since Anne received no help, she returned home, buried their dog, and hunted a deer to feed her daughter. She was forced to do something she despised just to survive. Her husband was still missing, the wolf was a looming threat, and their food supply was running low, so she had to take charge. That night, while Anne and her daughter were asleep, they heard a man screaming for help outside. He was severely injured. Anne brought him inside despite the risks. She later learned his name was Lou. He claimed he was a photographer who got lost in the forest after his car broke down. However, he had severe leg injuries, supposedly from a wolf attack.